Hello and welcome to this Chapter 9 guided assignment. I've already opened your Access database. We can see all the objects on the left-hand side here. We've got some tables, we've got a query, and we've got several reports. And so I'm starting on step 2. Hopefully you have that open and you're looking at it as well. It says open the relationship window and add the speakers, sessions, and rooms tables to the layout. So we'll go to Database Tools, we'll click on Relationships, and this may be what you see a lot of the times when you open up a database. They won't have any relationships built yet. So that's what we're doing here. And so we need to add our table. So I'm going to do a right click here, or we can click up here and say Show Table. I'll hit close. If I do a right click, I can get to Show Table as well. It's the exact same thing. And so what we want to add is speakers. I'm going to hold down the Control key. I'm going to select Session Speaker, select Sessions, and select Rooms to the layout. Hit close. Then it says create a relationship between speakers and session speaker tables. We can see everything there. So between speakers, this table, and session speaker. So it looks like session speaker has two primary keys, so that might be an intermediate table. So we have a common field here. We can think these are common, but ideally we would open up the tables and look at the data to see that it's the exact same data type. The names, while nice that they're the same, they don't necessarily have to be the same in order for you to link tables. So for this one, we're going to click on this speaker ID and drag and drop it here. And that'll open up a relationships dialog box. It gives you the table name and then the field name or column name that's in that table. We're going to enforce referential integrity, meaning that if the speaker ID is not located over here, then we won't be able to create that link. So I make sure that the data is present in both tables. We're also going to click the Cascade Update Related Fields option for the relationship. What that means is if we change data in one table, one of these pieces of data, it'll automatically change that in the other table, so we won't have to hunt and look for it. And then once we've done that, we'll hit Create. If everything goes well, you won't get any errors and you'll see a one-to-many relationship. Step 4 says create a relationship between session speaker and session tables, making sure you enforce referential integrity and cascade update again. So between session speaker and session tables, so I'll click that and click on sessions. I'll enforce referential integrity, click this and hit create. So that worked well. Step 5 says create a relationship between sessions and rooms table. Again, do the enforce referential integrity and cascade relationship field options. So here's a room ID and there's the room ID here. Click both of those boxes, hit create. Everything's gone well. It says save and close the relationship window. Just doing a right click here, I'll hit close. Open the Performance Analyzer dialog box under all object types and select all. So continuing on here, it wants us to open the Performance Analyzer dialog box under all object types, select all. So we're going to click, make sure you're on the Database Tools tab, click Analyze Performance, and we're going to see we've got all object types here, and we're going to select all, and then we'll click OK. So what this is doing, it's analyzing everything in your database, and it's giving you suggestions on what to do. And so here are some different suggestions it has. We're not going to change anything right now. Want you to take note on, it's telling you that the registration table should relate this table to the other databases. So it looked at the relationship table we did, and it noted that we've got one table that's created over here that's not been related to anything. And so sometimes this is a good idea to do to make sure you're not missing anything when you're setting up your database. So I'll go ahead and close this. The next step is to create a new form based on the speakers table using the form tool. So we want the speakers table. We'll click on create, and then we've got the form tool here. Once you hit click, you'll see something like the following. And it wants us to save the form as add or edit speakers and then close the form. So we'll save it. It's going to prompt us for the name. So we're going to name this add or edit speakers, just like it's spelled in your assignment. And then we're going to close the form. So notice it put the subform in here as well, based on those relationships we created. So that's the sessions, speaker to sessions. Let's look at the database tools again. Speaker to session speaker. So that's all that information that you see in the subform there. So if I go back and look at this form, that's what this information is, and that's why it's been created that way. If you didn't have the relationships already set up, it wouldn't have created this subform for you. I'm going to go ahead and close this and close this form as well. And now we can go on to step 7. It says create a navigation form based on the horizontal tabs template. Drag and edit. Drag the add or edit speakers form to the first tab position. So what we're doing now is building a user interface for someone other than the designer of this database. So typically, we've gone all semester long. We know how to do tables. We know how to do queries. We're now building forms. We're building reports. Everything that the user might need is done. And so now we want to build something that they can use in order to navigate to all of this information that we've provided for them in this database. So under step 7, we're going to click the Create tab, and notice over here we've got a navigation area. And that, if you hover over it, it tells you it's going to create a form that allows people to browse the different forms and reports. So they shouldn't have access to all this information here. So this is a way to take or hide this information and allow them to get to it a different way. So we're going to click that, and the directions say it only wants to do the horizontal tabs. It doesn't say anything about different levels deep or any of this other stuff that's down here. So we're going to select this one, and now it wants us to drag the add or edit speakers form to the first tab position. So we've got this, we're going to drag that and drop it right there. Step 8 says drag the current speaker schedule report to the second tab position. So what I'll do is I'll do a left mouse click here and hold, and I'll drag it over here and see where it says add new. I'll drop it right there, so I'll unclick my left mouse, and so it actually puts the name in there and adds a new tab for you to add more. Step 9, drag the rooms report to the third position. So we'll just do the same thing. Step 10, drag the speakers report to the fourth tab. And that ends that. Step 11, switch to the form view and test the navigation form. So we'll do a right click here and go to form view. We could have done that through up here as well. And so we can click here, gone through all of that. And so this is just an easy way for the user to navigate all these objects over here of what we want them to see in our database management system. Before I do step 12, it says close this navigation form, so I'm going to make sure I save it. I'm going to leave it as navigation form, default name. I'll click OK, then I'll close it. Step 12 is set the database to open the navigation form when the database opens. And the only way to test it is to close your database and open it up and see what happens. So in order to do that, we go under File, we go under Options, and we look at Current Database. And you'll notice it says Display Form here. We can either do the Add or Edit Speakers, or we could do the Navigation Form. So that's what we want to open when this database opens every time. And so in the past, you know, when I'm building a database management system, I'll actually have this close, have a splash screen come up, and the user will not even know that it's an Access database. So you can get to that level of detail. Notice what it's saying here. You must close or reopen the current database for the option to take effect. Click OK. I'll go ahead and make sure I save everything. And I'll close the database. I'll navigate to where I saved the file, and so now I'm going to double click to open it. And notice that when I open it, it automatically opens with this form, so the user doesn't have to worry about getting into any of all this. And they can start using the database. All right, step 13 says save the database, close the database, and exit Access, and then submit it for grading. Hopefully everything will work and you'll get 100 points. This is a relatively easy assignment. And as you can see here, 100% first try, so very good. Hopefully it goes as smoothly for you. And that ends our discussions about Access.